Hello Idle Hero fans, thank you for tuning in today, as I'm going to be covering the newest patch. I think it is iOS version 1.9.7 and Android 1.11.6. First thing I'm going to do is give a big shout out to whoever won the favorite monster sharing event on the Facebook page. I actually didn't notice that this was running because I don't pay too much attention to the Facebook page myself, but I'm probably going to have to now that I'm making these videos because that's the best way to get these patch notes. And it doesn't list the name, so I can't really give you guys credit, but I think there was like 20 of you guys who won, a bunch from iOS and a bunch from Android, so congrats to whoever did win. If you were a winner and you want to share what it was that you actually won, that'd be curious, because I don't know what the prize was. I think it was 400 gems, but I'm not 100% certain. Anyhow, let's get into the actual changes. And there was actually a lot of hero changes this patch. The first one listed being Flame Strike. They buffed her HP, and I think it's about 20,000, because if I'm not mistaken, I think she had about 480,000 going into this, and now she has 500,000. So that's not too bad. The 20,000 itself isn't a huge amount if you look at it face value, but the fact that you add multipliers to that, you got the guild tree that adds percent, you got the gear that adds percent, and then the gems or artifacts might as well. You can add artifacts that give damage as well as HP. Like on my Ice Blink, for example, I have this one that gives 12% HP for Fortress. So if you're using something like that on Flame Strike, you're going to notice this buff a little bit more than the average player, and it'll help you a lot more. I don't really think that she was suffering... Oh, here I am. That's what I was wondering what was going on. I don't think she was really suffering from a lack of HP, but I think that this is probably a step in the right direction, because I actually chose against putting Flame Strike on my team, and went with stupid Kefka, man. You can't kill that guy. He's always going to show up. But yeah, I went against putting Flame Strike on my team as a 10-star and chose Ice Blink instead. So maybe this might help balance it out. But since then, they've actually buffed both of those heroes, so I don't know if it really matters. If you were going to put Ice Blink on your team before, he's probably still the better choice. But ultimately, it comes down to your team comp. The second buff that they put out was they gave Aiden more damage. They don't really say how they gave him more damage. I assume it was they just increased his attack power, but I don't remember what it was to begin with. He's basically a lower health version of Flame Strike, but he's a lot easier to boost up because he relies on your allies dying, so you actually don't have to be winning the fight for Aiden to kind of give most of his damage. I don't know how Aiden 10-star really is as opposed to the rest of the 10 stars. I have seen him a lot on the seasonal server and he seems pretty strong, but I don't know how he would fit in a team with like 4 to 5 to 6 other 10 stars. He might be really powerful, but the testing really just isn't there. I don't know what they changed it. If you guys do know what stats they specifically changed on Aiden, and you could post it in the comments below, that'd be amazing. But I think they just increased his attack by a little bit. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was just about 30,000, or they might have increased his ability. I'm not 100% sure. But either way, he's just a little bit stronger, which keeps him in line with Flame Strike, which is well needed because they're kind of the same hero. Another one in Shadow that they increased was actually Karma, and this is the one I think that was a little bit unneeded. Karma, with her recent speed buff, has been considered the best Shadow hero you can have at 10-star for PvP. Bloodblade is probably better for PvE, but as far as fighting other people goes, Karma's really high speed, as well as her high amount of Petrify, is insanely effective. And to give her just more HP on top of that, I don't really think it was necessary, because the only weakness she has right now is if you can kill her in the first turn, but I don't think that anyone is really doing that. I mean, even if you have like Kareem and like Faceless both with energy artifacts so that they use their abilities on the first turn, that's not really going to kill her. So the only other option is like crowd control. And if you use Ice Blink with the energy artifact, for example, and you crowd control Karma at the beginning of the fight, her HP isn't really going to stop her from dying on the second turn, I don't think, because she still only has 700 or 370,000. So I feel like this buff was just unnecessary. It didn't address any of her issues, and she didn't really have any major flaws. Like, she's relevant now, so you don't really need to keep buffing her anymore. The next buff was to Sleepless. It increased his HP even more so. So now he's at about 1,000,000 flat HP if you consider his Dark Rebirth into the equation, which is pretty good. Again, this is another thing. I don't know where they got their data to test from this, because he seemed pretty strong. They might just solely be basing this off the fact that Dark Arthendal has been kind of cheesing everybody. So if she's known as the predominant Dark hero, maybe they're just trying to bring up the others to align with her. Now, I don't know why they wouldn't have changed Das Mog, because I haven't really seen much of him either, but I assume that his flat damage is not keeping up with Dark Arthendal's crowd control and energy stealing. I would have made the case that Das Mog might have actually been the worst of the 3 Dark heroes that you could have used, unless you just need a pure DPS, but I don't understand how that would be the case, because crowd control is super powerful right now. So if you can add more crowd control, Dark Arthendal is just a better choice in my opinion, especially since she's so fast and she can generally steal 30 points of energy from most units on the second turn. The only one she's not going to steal it from is like a few priests, as well as I think Mickey and Emily might be faster than her. So most units like Ice Blink and Flame Strike and even Sigmund, all the Fortress heroes really, and of course a lot of others as well, get countered by Dark Arthendal. So I don't really, I think it's probably a good move to buff Sleepless, but I don't know how it's actually going to affect the meta right now, because there's just too few people using him. And the last buff was actually to Balrog, and that one I think was fine. They buffed his damage. Again, I'm not sure how. I don't know if it was the attack, or if it was like his attack power or his ability power that they buffed. But overall, Lord Balrog is an underpowered 10-star. He's one of the easier to get 5-star heroes, so it makes sense that he would be a little bit weaker, but I guess he was even too weak by those standards. I hope that they do continue to buff these heroes, because if you're a free-to-play on the official server, these are the types of heroes you're most likely going to have as a 10-star. So if they actually make them a little bit more relevant, but still not quite up to par with the other 10-stars, then that makes perfect sense. So I think that other heroes like Gusta, for example, and Lord Dominator, those guys, or not Lord Dominator, just Dominator, they could definitely use buffs to keep them up a little bit higher on the ladder, but not quite to the level of the other heroes. Oh, Kefka, you guys are all subscribing a lot today. Thank you guys for the subs, but sorry for the interruption. As for the rest of the notes, it says here that they've introduced a new Senior Tavern scroll, which I don't know what that means. It doesn't really, I don't really see anything here. So I don't know what that, it says it here, a new Senior Tavern quest scroll can roll out at least 4-star quests. I don't know if maybe it was that they were rolling out 3-star quests before and now it's just bumped up to 4-star quests. Maybe that's what they're talking about. It's a little vague, but I think that's what it is. They've added a new 5 guild bosses, which is perfect because our guild was actually just about to hit the last one, and these last 5 are actually perfectly timed for us, so to not run out of things to do. So that's awesome. The next button for the friend contest, I assume they mean for the Marauders, but I thought that had already existed, so I don't know exactly what they could be referring to, because when you fight the Marauders, I think the next button was already added, or maybe it was added in between patches and they just hadn't covered it, so they put it in this patch note. I'm not sure. Either way, it's a great feature to have, so I'm glad it's there. And now the event itself, there was a lot of patch, or like a lot of changes to the game done this time, so it's actually a little bit late to get into the patches or to the event itself. But it's basically just another casino event. The top prizes being like OD01, the Dodge Talisman, Flying Thor, which is not my favorite, and Flame Strike, which is a lot of people's favorite. So the prizes are okay. I actually don't really care too much about the heroes, but what I do really like is you get 10 coins there, 6 coins there, 4 there, and 1 from the Daily Mail for the next week. That is a lot of Super Casino coins. That is amazing. The Super Casino coins are super valuable. I guess that's a bit redundant to say, but when you're talking about trying to pick a high tier hero, the Super Casino can be one of the best ways to get those heroes. And even if you don't get those heroes, you get stuff like this, which is like 3 Profit Orbs, which is amazing. So the more of those Super Casino coins they can pump out to the general populace, the better I think it is. It's amazing. The other event is Broken Space, which is pretty much the same as it always is. You get you can compete for boss damage to see who can do the most. The only problem I do have about this is that on the private server, it's kind of making certain people particularly stronger than others, because if you get in the top placement and you get 1 exclusive orange and a regular orange artifact, this is so much better than every other tier. And even then, just being in the top 15 becomes super important because getting those orange artifacts are insanely important. Now, this time, I'm not going to be able to even compete. I'm one of the stronger boss dealers, like boss damage dealers on the private server, but I've only got 1900 gems, and this event is really expensive to keep up in, so I'm not going to be able to actually participate that well. And because they're not giving away daily like these little energy chips here, these things, tickets, I don't know what you call them, they're not giving those away daily. You're going to only get them from buying them or from the casino or from the campaign. It's going to be a little bit harder to come up with a lot of them. Now, of course, you wouldn't be able to compete anyway because everybody gets them, so it's even, so that doesn't really put you ahead. But the actual rewards you get from fighting these guys are not bad. So even if you can't compete for like the top tier spots to get these orange artifacts, which I myself won't be able to do, just competing in these gives you a lot of dust, gives you a lot of money, and what is the other one? I think it is like dragon scales, like the pet currency. So all in all, there's a lot of free stuff in this event, so that's pretty good. A lot of people find it easy to save up for the casino event, so it's one of the more free-to-play friendly events, so that's nice to see as well. And all those super casino coins, I'm definitely mostly going to be trying to hit towards 500 spins, so that's my big objective for this patch, and I suggest that's what most people will be going for as well. Of course, if you need the flame strike, she's there, and a free red exclusive artifact isn't a problem either, especially since it does give you 2 attack stats. That's pretty nice, but the damage to priest isn't particularly useful, but I mean that's mostly about your opponent's team as opposed to anything else. But anyway, guys, that's about it for the patch. If you have any thoughts about what the buffs or nerfs did to anybody, post it in the comments below. If you liked the video, thumbs up, and if you want to see more content like this, make sure to subscribe. But yeah, thanks for watching and have a great day.